Laurel and Hardy comedy team. As CNN's Richard Blystone reports from London, the celebration may be wackiest in the land of Laurel's birth.
For Malcolm Fellows, an English magistrate, watching Laurel and Hardy is serious business.
It's funny, I'm not a great laugher. I think it's been a student of Laurel and Hardy and comedy. I'm so busy watching I forget to laugh.
Fellows is one of 7,000 Britons whose lives are wrapped up in the art of their countryman, Arthur Stanley Jefferson, much better known as Stan Laurel, the skinny half of the half-wit pair who were hailed as two minds without a single thought, whose latest movie is half a century old, and who have never had a revival because they've never gone out of fashion.
The Laurel and Hardy fans mostly are a nice bunch of people. Somebody said to me once that if someone doesn't like Laurel and Hardy, they don't usually talk to them.
David Wyatt, whose home has 2 rooms full of old movie canisters, is another who could have a PhD in L&H. Wyatt's big event of 1989 was helping discover a 106th movie featuring Laurel and Hardy before they became partners. Like Oliver Norval Hardy, Laurel was a vaudeville veteran of the gag trade when he moved to movies and had made dozens of films before the magic moment in 1926 when the two appeared on the same screen. The scope for Laurel and Hardy to show their talents was greatly increased with the advent of sound.
Who rang the bell? I did.
And they made the transition easily where other silent stars just faded away. Success for Laurel and Hardy was compounded out of a string of disasters, pratfalls, and tricks of malicious fate. But in real life, Stan Laurel was not the kind of man who'd hand you an exploding cigar.
But at the end of the day, when they'd finished filming, Babe Hardy, as we call him, Oliver Hardy, would go off to his lakeside golf club and his gardening, and Stan would still be in the studios till the early hours, doing the editing and the cutting and reworking the gags, because that was all he knew. It's all he ever wanted to do.
Jack Stevenson should know his collection of Laurel's personal letters is worth thousands of dollars, and he never tires of the movies.
But I permanently have one in the breach in the video, and if I'm having a bad day, I'll just come in and have 5 or 10 minutes of it, and that gives me a bit of a pickup. I have a laugh at them, and that's my tonic for the day. It's better than hitting the bottle, I think, don't you?
Along with hundreds of other sons of the desert, the Laurel and Hardy Appreciation Society, he's spending the weekend at a birthday jamboree in Laurel's birthplace, Ulverston, England, while London's National Film Theatre is running a month-long festival of Laurel and Hardy classics.
On the 21st of March 1947, they reckon 10,000 people turned up to see the reopening of the Romney, Hythe and Dymchurch Railway after the war. The reason? Laurel and Hardy. Captain Howie, whose line it was, had managed to book one of the world's greatest double acts. Even comparatively late in their careers, they were still topping the bill, and in the pathy newsreel, it's easy to see why. Nearly 40 years later, the International Laurel and Hardy Convention came back to visit the railway. To quote from Laurel and Hardy films, "All aboard for Pottsville! All aboard for Pottsville!" To tread where the great men had trod, and sit where the great men had sat, or at least try. More than 200 fans are in convention at the moment from all over America and Britain. They call themselves the Sons of the Desert, and the clubs are called tents.
Well, each tent is named after a Laurel and Hardy film. And the main tent, the New York parent tent, is called the Sons of the Desert, which is named after the film we're all based upon. So we're the helpmates tent of the southeast of England.
And you have a laugh-a-minute tent, do you?
Oh, it's good fun. We've got some good characters in our tent. We've got the serious film buffs, we've got the film collectors, and we've got those who just come along for the fun of it.
And people like him who spend their time... Well...
I'm the dumb one.
Today, they all rode behind the very engine that pulled their heroes. They took pictures and wore their bowler hats and fezzes. And with them, men upon whom some of the Laurel and Hardy magic had rubbed. Stan Laurel's extraordinary valet, Jimmy Murphy, bursting into song, anxious to show something Stan Laurel had bought him.
And he bought me, dear.
all the things, January, February, June, or July. It's no time, ain't no time today. And son Laurel bought me those.
And from the throng of T-shirts and badges, a man without either, but a genuine Hollywood film actor who starred with Laurel and Hardy, Henry Brandon.
Well, I was in such awe of them. I was 21 years old. It was my first film. And I had this very important part, and I must have I got a minute?
Yeah.
My first day on the set, I made such a blunder that I never made again. They all sat around and they kicked the scene around and threw that out and threw that out and said, you say that and I'll say that and you say that and I'll go like this and so on and so on. And they said, all right, let's get up and shoot it. And I said, aren't we going to rehearse it? And there was dead silence, and Stanley said, do you want to spoil it? So I never made that boner again.
It didn't all go smoothly today, but the hiccups were strictly in honour of Mr. Hardy and Mr. Laurel. After Detroit, Chicago and Hollywood conventions, it's a day to remember when the Sons of the Desert brought Hollywood to Hythe.
Yes, it sure is.
It's another fine mess you've got me into.
It sure is.